Fetish #3 series. Okay, so let's talk about it. So the first 2 chapters, which was like the walking in out of the range, you know, introducing that, and then the second chapter was about implementing the feints, right? Taking advantage of somebody's focus, right? Leveraging that to, you know, create weaknesses in their approach, or to, you know, bait them to do something that will grant you a knockdown, stuff of that nature. All right, so #3, we are going to get into more of the corner. All right, so this is personally one of my favorites, and I think you guys will benefit a lot from this, especially in a game like Street Fighter 6. Okay, so let's talk about it. Street Fighter Footsies Handbook Chapter 3. A cornered opponent cannot escape your attacks by backing away. Obviously, this presents an opportunity to capitalize on a massive advantage if you know what to do. Okay, so the corner is basically like fire, right? It could build or destroy you. It can give you life, or it can give you death. It is such a delicate situation. You have to be masterful at it, because if you are not careful, you can put yourself in a severe disadvantage. This segment focuses on the massive advantages gained by cornering your opponent. As you may have noticed, the capacity to safely / stealthily withdraw from an opponent's attack space is a crucial aspect of Footsies, as we've seen in chapters 1 and 2, right? Backing your opponent against a wall negates their ability to walk backward, giving you sole control over when you're in and out of attack range. So that's the key point, is that when somebody is cornered, they don't have that freedom to create space. The only thing they can do is now neutralize space by stepping forward. You understand? Or they can jump and try to avoid, right? But jumping in place, jumping backwards, whatever. But regardless, the spacing is going to be exactly the same, horizontally speaking, if they jump up in place or walk backwards when they're cornered. The only thing they can do is close the gap. Okay, so aggression is usually their answer. So you see how, if you think of it like that, that means that they're now one-dimensional, right? They're a lot more predictable, because you know that they can't change the spacing in any other way other than passivity or aggression. Passivity of allowing you to dictate the space, or by them being aggressive. They can't walk backwards, right? They have to like allow you to dictate, or they have to risk getting hit, because they can't block moving forward. They can't block jumping, right? So element #7, whenever you knock someone into the corner, establish a safe position slightly outside their reach. Then as soon as you get the feeling they're about to advance or let their guard down, step forward and poke their toes with a low medium kick. Getting hit by one of these gives a lot of players the urge to retaliate with one of their own. Simply let it whiff, then strike their extended limb, or throw them back into the corner. However, keep in mind that veteran players often take a step forward before counter poking, so you might want to give them a little extra room. So there's definitely more than one way to take advantage of the veteran player that steps forward. You can switch to a different button, right? A faster button, because you know they're closing the gap. Or you can take a step with them and meet them. You can walk with them and then counter accordingly. But let's watch some examples, and then we'll talk about it in training mode, okay? So simply let it whiff, then strike their extended limb. All right, so let's check this out. So this is the corner. This is CVS2, okay? All right, so Cammy's cornering Balrog. And as you see, right there, that was perfect. All right, so let's run it back. Put it in super duper slow-mo. Put it like 4.5. Run it back to right here, okay? So Cammy has him cornered. All right, and you're gonna see he does this string. Okay, this is all training mode solutions that you probably found, right? Spaces himself out for the retaliation. I believe this is sweep, and then gets the stand heavy kick with punish. Okay, so that's basically what it would look like. So let's run it by a couple times just so you guys can get the visuals. Poke, poke, push back with punish. Okay, so it's like you're giving your opponent the chance to take their turn back. Let's look at another example of this. Okay, so this is Edma versus John Choi. Nice, see that? Okay, so let's run this back. Let's play this in slower motion. Okay, so this is like a little trick that players might use to make people think it's okay to stand, is they whiff like a light on your wake up, and I don't know why, it just works. It's one of those things that for some reason it just influences people, and then they might stand up and just get hit low. Okay, and then look, he uses that advantage and his really fast back walk speed to walk back, and you see John Choi walks forward, and he walks back. So you got to think of this like math, right? If we are playing, right, and you are not the type to walk forward, right, I don't need to introduce extra space as long as I'm calculated. If I understand my pushback, I understand my spacing, I know you're gonna whiff. But if you are a disciplined player that is hyper aware of spacing, I need to introduce that walk back, right? And that's why you see Edma, once he hits him, he introduces the walk back, because if had he stayed still right here, he would have got hit by Ryu's low forward, okay, like easily. But he walks back, see, so he would have got hit. He was standing right here, would have got hit, but he walks back. Okay, so he could have whiff punished him, but he just walks back in and throws him. You know, when people make mistakes like this, especially smart players, they kind of say, oh shit, I fucked up, let me chill. And then that's when a walk-up throw is really strong. In a Street Fighter 6 sense, the way you would lab this with any of your characters is to just have them set to block all and have strings for each of these values, 1, 2, and 3. What do they mean? What they mean is, it is the amount of buttons that you press that you'd have to press in order to avoid this button, right? So if I have something for 1, I have to figure out, well, when it comes to Ryu's crouching medium kick, right, do I have any button that would put me out of range of this immediately, like up close? No. Okay, so that means I'd have to space it out. Okay, so now where this would hit me here, maybe if I do this? No. Okay, what about a little further? Aha. Okay, so what you can do is you can measure other buttons as a way of telling if you're in the space. Okay, so if I am here, what I do is I save the spacing, right? So I save the state, and I say, okay, max distance jab. If I do stand medium kick, am I in range? No. See, so I know if my jab whiffs, I am guaranteed to be at this range. See, so you can use other buttons as a metric to confirm your ranges. Let's see another button. Stand jab. Well, if stand jab whiffs, I am also not in range, right? Okay, what if I crouch and light kick? Okay, crouch and light kick, definitely. Okay, so what if it whiffs? If it whiffs, I'm guaranteed, right? Okay, that's 1 button. Let's go to 2. So that's the reason why I say have 1 for each of those, right? Find a number, find a sequence for each of those rhythms. The reason is because when you play somebody, smart players, they're gonna figure it out, like, oh, every time he does this, he's out of range, right? So they're gonna stop. But when you do this, that might be enough to throw them off and think that you're doing something different, but you're really not. Okay, so the way you'd lab this instead is now you turn this to count settings 2, so every time they block 2 buttons, they fire. See, so now let's try 2 buttons. So okay, so let's say I do, I don't know, crouch fierce, crouch strong. Okay, like this. Yeah, I'm still in range. Okay, what about this? Still in range. Okay, still in range. Thank you, Nell, for the raid. Okay, so if I do this, am I still in range? Yes. Okay, what about this? Okay, still in range. Still in range. Okay, so crouch fierce doesn't really look like it's giving me any sort of, you know, maybe if I introduce a walk back, but I don't really want any sort of like manual influence. I want it to be very tight. So okay, let's try something else. Maybe fierce? No, nope, in range. Okay, what about crouch strong? Aha, you see? Okay, I like it. All right, so what this means is when you do this, right, you gotta be careful though with drive rush, because drive rush has inertia where like the momentum carries you into your opponent, so you'll actually be closer to them and still moving while you press the button. So for example, see how Cammy's still kind of moving? So that's happening up close. So when you do drive rush, you have to be very cognizant of this fact. So when you pressure, you see I'm in range, right? Even though right here I'm clearly not in range. Okay, so that means when you do drive rush, you gotta think about that, and maybe do it from either further away or wait. You see? Okay, all right, makes sense. You know, you have 3, which might be like lights, right? Something like that. So then you can just turn this on to 3. Boom. Right. Okay. You don't only have to, you know, whiff punish, right? You can walk up and throw. Okay. So maybe it's a button you have a hard time whiff punishing, but you notice that after they whiff, they tend to block. That's a really good spot for you to just then walk up and throw. Okay. Especially with really good walk speed and great throw ranges. Let's look at the next element. Element number 8. Shortly after succeeding with a typical tick throw setup, repeat a similar sequence except step backward instead of executing the throw. If you catch your opponent's tech attempt whiffing, respond with a damaging combo. The corner severely limits your opponent's options for escaping throws, thereby forcing them to take greater risks. They're certainly not going to walk out of your throw range, so they have to do something proactive to avoid dying to simple throw loops. Having nowhere to go also makes them an easy combo target when they get baited. So this is essentially shimmying. So this has existed for ages. Okay, you're gonna see a third strike example here. Button, button throw, button, shimmy. Okay, run that in slower motion. Okay, run it back.
Complete.
Run it back a little bit. Okay, so you can see he does the jab, 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 walk up, throw. Boom. Okay. So that one's, you guys are already familiar with that because that was something that we naturally learned through Street Fighter V. Okay, so it's pretty cool to see though that something that was made over what, 13 years ago has this, right? And then it becomes such a prominent aspect of offense in the game later on. All because of the way the games are designed too, you know? Because one little thing about defense can change whether or not a shimmy is even worth it, in the sense of the way a game meta is developed. Okay, element number 9. Following a basic combo or block string, poke with a light attack from its maximum distance. The corner will ensure your attack doesn't whiff, so you lose nothing if they continue blocking. On the other hand, if they happen to press a button, yours will usually come out sooner and stuff whatever they were trying to do. Most everyone's natural reaction to having their attack interrupted is to block, which makes it easy to walk up and throw them. Some people have a habit of jumping instead, which can also be punished with an uppercut on reaction. Okay. Oh, so you see that? So at the end of this sequence, right? Ending his sequence with a fireball, which probably would leave, most characters neutral. So there's not really much like, of a threat there. The jab is there to just, it's very low risk, right? In games like this. So when he tries to commit to the stand roundhouse, he just checks him, and most people kind of chill. You see, look what his natural reaction is. He's like, oh shit, I gotta reassess what the fuck just happened, right? So this is a really strong tactic, but in Street Fighter 6 it is dangerous because if a person is aware of this, they basically will whiff punish, right? Not like on reaction, but with like a timing whiff punish, where punish counter is really strong in this game. So people can just do delay buffers to kind of delay your delay. And that's a mind game. It's a beautiful mind game that gets unraveled, like if you get into higher levels of play. But this does have a weakness. All of these concepts have weaknesses. Okay, so it's just something to be mindful of. But this is really strong, especially in a game like 6, where people want to retaliate like right away. People just want to drive rush right away, right? Or they want to drive impact back. Like, you committing to a jab is so low risk, because if you jab, you can still DI and you can DI or DI back, right? A DI retaliation. If they jump, you still have a chance to anti-air, right? So the jab would cover multiple situations. The drive rush is the only thing that you'd have to be careful of, because they could parry and then delay and just accidentally whiff punish you, which can happen, right? It happens. Luck is a part of fighting games. We've stressed this before, right? But it's something to just think about. Okay, this is a really strong option. It's a really good tactic. Let's watch this one more time. Okay, nice. Oh, that's actually kind of funny. I think he just kind of did it back to him. Yeah, look, he just did it back to him. Wow, I actually never watched past that part. So this is funny. He does the same thing to him. See, look, roundhouse pushes him away. It's kind of neutral, nothing crazy. Jab, walks right into it. And he chilled, but he's still kind of fired. See, and look. He does it again, and see, now he chilled, right? That whiff punish, super. Damn, see, that's high level. That's like a conversation that's happening in real time. Like, oh, I'm aware of what just happened. All right, so let's wrap this up. Oh yeah, Street Fighter 6 examples. Let me show some of that really quick. So, you know, a common response somebody might have is something like this, right? Where, right, they do that, right? So something like, you know, something like that would be, you know, it's different in this game because of the way frame data works, but okay. Just imagine it's like, you know, a bunch of medium pokes that might make them wanna like that, something similar to that, right? But then there's obviously like the drive rush version of that, where people wait for the end of your pressure to resolve, and then they see what you're doing and they're like, oh, you're being passive, and they'll just hard commit to drive rush. That's something you have to be like super mindful of, so that way you don't fall into that tactics trap. Okay, so you gotta be very careful when you're too passive. So if you ever watch, like, for example, Idom play, Idom is notorious for doing that. He'll watch what you do, and then in the very next interaction, he thinks that you're still in that mindset, so he immediately would commit to dash. He did that with Laura, he does that with Manon. It's like an Idom fundamental thing that he does. And it makes sense though, because if somebody's playing cautious, they're probably looking for a whiff punish, or they're looking for a jump, or they're looking, you know, very few people are expecting a dash, especially when you just showed that you were blocking. So let's finish this. Generally speaking, there are two approaches to corner offense. Either you can press the advantage and rush them down, armed with the confidence that your pokes aren't going to whiff, okay, or you can hold the ground and counter their every attempt to exit the corner, waging a battle of attrition which heavily favors whoever the corner benefits. Okay, so let's look at both examples here. So this is going to be like a rush down round from Sakura. Okay, got the guard break. Okay, and then now you see how the Nash is playing very like counter offensive. See, so you don't have to commit to just one style. You can go back and forth between those like dimensions of play, and it makes it that much harder. But you just have to remember that when somebody is about to crack and they're about to explode or throw out their like reversal, it'll probably beat both, as long as you're not blocking it in range. So it doesn't matter which style of play you choose. You just, what's really important is while you're doing that thing, to be very aware of changes in your opponent's behavior too, you know, or those moments where it's like you can feel the reversal coming, or if you're unsure, sometimes it's good to just let shit happen, you know. It's actually difficult to find good examples of corner footsies in tournament finals because both players are fully aware that everything can be punished. Therefore, the corner player becomes extremely defensive while waiting for a way out. 5 to 10 seconds can go by without anything major happening because the other player doesn't want to open up an escape route either. Yet it's no coincidence that the longer someone stays in the corner, the more often they tend to lose. Very important. All right, so here's this little bonus thing that they like to add to the end of the elements. Rule number 2, dictate where the match will be fought. Easier said than done, but Alex Wolf's unbelievable Evo West 2K6 comeback in the final round of an elimination bout provides an excellent example. His Hyper Street Fighter 2 N Dalsum catches a few bad breaks at the start, but once he manages to recover, he simply refuses to play the game at mid-range. Usually Dalsum dominates at that distance, but not against CE Bison. Thus he stays as far away as possible, waiting for the one mistake he can capitalize on. When the opportunity arrives, he does everything in his power to prevent Bison from escaping to reset the match. All right, so let's watch this. Okay, so he's playing super passive, waiting for that opportunity. And he's about like this comeback. This is about to be crazy. Bruh. That was kind of crazy. That was some cheap. Maybe. Shit. At least in 6 years. All right, so that concludes chapter number 3 for this week. All right, everybody. So let me know what you think. How'd you feel about the lesson? Comment below. Let me know. How have the Footsies fetish videos benefited you from way back when I first started in Street Fighter 4 to the Street Fighter 5 series, and even now? Let me know what you guys think. Like the video. Send it to your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.